Welcome to the next video in the Suggestion App course. This is a complete course where we'll build a .NET 6 Blazor server application with MongoDB from the ground up. There are three things you need to know before we get started. First, this is part of a series, and this isn't the first video in the series. If you're just starting out, you should check out the playlist that's linked in the description to start from the first video in the series. Second, this course is actually a paid course. MongoDB sponsored it so you can put the videos on YouTube for free. Check out the link in the description to sign up for MongoDB Atlas for free to thank them if you haven't already. Third, you can also buy this course on imtimcorey.com. The link is in the description. Buying this course will get you all the lessons right away, the source code for each lesson, a certificate of completion, offline access, and more. It also helps sponsor more free content. The video will be the same as it is on YouTube, so feel free to watch the free version if you want to. Okay, let's jump into today's video. Note there may be more than one lesson in this video, since some lessons are short. When we log into the site, we don't have any type of link to log in. So if we put any kind of authorization on any of our pages and say, hey, you have to be an admin in order to get to this page, well, we don't have a way for the user to become an admin or log in order to say that, yes, I am an admin. So we need a link somewhere to indicate that, yes, we are, there's these links at the top that say, hey, you can log in, or once you're logged in, it says you can log out. So let's create that. In the shared folder, we're going to create a page, and this page will be called LoginDisplay. So Razor component, we'll call it LoginDisplay. And again, this will not be a full page, and it won't even have code. So get rid of everything. This is just a component that we'll put somewhere else. So the first thing is that we're going to have a link for admins. This admin page will link to the admin approval page. This page right here, we're not even going to show a link to this page unless you're an admin. So that's the first link we're going to show. In order to do that, we're going to say authorize view. But it's not enough to say authorize view because of the fact that if you're logged in, you would see that link, but you can't go there because you're not an admin. So we want to restrict this even further by saying authorize view with a policy of admin. So you have to have the admin policy applied to your login in order to even see this section. And in here, we're going to say anchor tag, and we'll say href equals /admin approval. And we'll say admin. So that's our anchor tag that just shows the admin link, which you will not see unless you are an admin. Next up, we're going to have some links that will be displayed or not based upon if you are authorized. So if you are logged in, you'll see your profile link and you'll see the link to log out. If you're not logged in, you'll see a link to log in, and that's it. So authorize view, and then inside here we'll have two sections, authorized, and we'll have another section at the bottom that is not authorized. So if you are not authorized, let's copy this link here. If you're not authorized, let's tab it out, you're going to see a link that says log in. So let's change this to say log in. And we need to have a href here of Microsoft Identity /account /sign in. We had to spell it right. So there you go. Microsoft Identity.account /sign in. That's the login link. And I'll copy that. And then under authorized, we have two. We have the profile. And that is your profile. So that's the the page that we created right here that shows all your information about what things you've submitted. And we'll also have another one, and this one is going to be Microsoft Identity.account.signout. And this will be log out. So that's going to be the two different links we're going to show if you're authorized, both your profile and the logout link. If you're not authorized, we'll show just the login link. And if you're authorized and you're an admin, you'll see admin, profile, and logout. So that's the login page. But while we're on the subject, let's also go over to that profile page we just at. And the profile page, we had a link to the my account. We just put a hashtag in there. We're going to paste in that link. It's going to say Microsoft Identity./account/edit profile. These are the standard URLs for these three things. And so now when they click that link, they'll be able to edit their profile. Again, that only happens if you're logged in, but since we're not going to go to the profile page unless you're logged in, that should be fine for us. So that's the login page. But where are we going to use this? Well, if we go to the main layout, right now we have in main, we have just the article right here with our body, but we're going to add an extra section and we'll say div. And then inside this div, we'll have login display. And that will be where our links go. So our links go above our body of our content. So we'll have those links right there to say, hey, log in, or see our profile, go to the admin page, or log out. So that's how we're going to add those links onto every page, because this main layout is used for every page. So normally our content just goes in body. Well, the links will go to the top no matter what. Now it's almost time to start using this. In fact, let's launch this. We are going to change the branding a little bit of the pages though. So I want you to see what it looks like when it first loads. And then from there, we're going to show how to modify this branding. So right now, if I say login and it says there's nothing at this address, excellent. So we've got to make sure that we've got something wrong here that we need to get right. And it says edit and continue is currently broken. Let's just stop this and start it again, make sure that we're not missing something else. But then if not, we'll go back through and figure out why our site isn't loading. And it says, nope, there's nothing at Microsoft Identity/account/sign. Let's make sure that spelling is right, and we'll go from there. Let's close this out. And I think I figured out what it is. Because we didn't go that, it said that page does not exist. So that means that we're not set up properly in our authentication. Something's not right. And the first place to check is our routing. If we go to Program.cs, there's routing for our authentication authorization, and that happens down here. We only have routing for Blazor Hub and the fallback page. What we need to add is app.MapControllers. This is actually the MVC controllers that the authentication system uses. I believe that's going to fix it. Let's verify that. This is why you test things and test as early as possible. So now if we go to this page and say log in, it still says there's nothing at this address. So that wasn't the only thing that we're missing here. And this is where it helps to have a previously working example. And I'm going to stop here and say, this is the reason why I always say, don't test the new things you're learning in a production environment. That means when you want to do something cool, like I want to make this app, don't do that first. Test out what you need to learn first. Make sure you understand it. Otherwise, you're going to make a mess of things. And if you don't make a mess of things and it all works great, cool, now you have an example. So you do it again and something breaks, you can look at the example and compare it to what you have and go, oh, I missed something. And guess what? I missed something. Let's go register services. So in here, I missed a couple of things. First, add server-side Blazor. We have to add a dot here and add Microsoft Identity Consent Handler. But we're not quite done yet. We also need to add down below here, builder.Services.AddControllersWithViews. That's for the MVC portion of things. Add Microsoft. Well, we have to format this right. Add Microsoft IdentityUI. Control dot to add that using. And what this does is it brings in both MVC and it brings in the user interface for the identity portion of the identity UI portion of identity. So hopefully this time it'll work. Again, this is why examples are so important, because they can be your training for later. So log in. This time we have an unhandled exception. Excellent. We're getting at least a little further. So no such host is known. Timco auth on Microsoft.com, port 443. So this time we have an error trying to connect to that server. So let's make sure that we are connecting with the proper URL. And again, this is where my copy will help, because I can go through and look at the appsettings.json, realize that this copy paste right here, I made a mistake, and that is we don't copy this right here. It's not on Microsoft for this. It is B2C login. So this is B2C login. This is our on Microsoft. So the two are the same otherwise, but we have to make sure we get the right URL there. So one more time, we launch this and make sure that this time it works. Wait for it to launch. We hit login and it's looking better, but now we have an error that says unauthorized client is not configured to allow implicit flow. So we're going to check to make sure that that is set up properly. So now we're talking to our authentication system, but it's saying it's not allowed, configured to allow implicit flow. And to do that, what we'll do is we'll pop open our Azure again, and we're going to go to our app registration, and we get the Timco suggestion site. And in here we go to authentication. We have our redirect URI, that's correct. We can ignore the front channel URI, but then we have this implicit grant and hybrid flow. Select the tokens you'd like to be issued by the authorization endpoint. I would like both of these tokens to be issued. That's the big change we have to make in order to get this to work. So with that changed, we should be able to come back to our application and launch it and take care of that error. And yes, you're going to find these errors, and it's good to see them because now you know, oh, I've seen that error before. I know what to do next. Hit login. And this time we see the actual page. Finally. So this now is where we should be. And let's actually cap off the video right here. I want to keep this as, hey, this is the bug fix video. So we're going to stop right here, and when we come back, what we'll do is we will address the idea of this square block here. That's kind of weird. And also this blue background. We want to change that to something more in line with what looks like our app. Let's address this blue background and the box. We're not going to go crazy on this form. We could actually replace the entire thing with a custom HTML page. We're not going to do that. That's a lot of work for this demo. In fact, I might even do that for the production application. So let's just make some big changes that will get closer to what we want to see. So I'm going to close this out. I'm going to go back to Azure. And in here, we're going to go back to Azure B2C, and we have company branding. In company branding, we can say configure. And in here, we can make some configuration choices about what we see in our application. Now, this is company-wide, just so you know. We can make different choices and apply different brandings, but for the most part, this is company-wide. Now, we need to have a background image. Let's do this. Let's go to our site again, our application, go up to www.root, and in the images folder, I'm going to say open folder in File Explorer, and I'm going to paste in a couple of values. One is the suggestion page background ping, and that looks like this. That's our background image for the site. And the other one is the profile, and that's just this little gray outline thing. So we're going to use both of those for our branding to make it a little bit more closely aligned with what we are looking for from our main site too. I'm going to copy that URL or that file link, and then let's open up this again. We'll say select file. I will paste a link or paste the URL there or the file path, whatever. I'm going to select the background and hit open. And now that background, it looks squished in here. It's okay. It's looking for a 1920 by 1080 image, which this is. And then we also need the banner logo, which I will select again and select that person this time. And that is a 280 by 60 pixel image. And it must be 10 kilobytes. It's 3. It's tiny. This one can be no more than 300 kilobytes. It's 260, I think. So those are the big changes I've made. I'm going to leave everything else the same and hit save. So just those two changes. I have the background image and the banner logo. And now if I go back to Visual Studio, I launch this again, we should see a difference when we go to the login page. So log in, and it's not quite there yet. We may have to wait for a little bit for it to refresh. It will apply though, and we will get that new image soon. It took a little bit, but now we have the correct background and we have our little icon here. So this page is provided by Microsoft. Again, we could redo the entire page. We're not going to, but this gives us a little bit more control over how it looks. And this background will be the background on our main page. So it's going to kind of fit in with our same theme, and that's close enough for what we need to do. Now, as the sign in, we can also do a sign up. And there we go with the email address. We have to send a verification code to that email in order to be able to create our site. They don't do a great job on this page in the fact that this, I think it should say, hey, you must verify before you can fill the rest of the stuff in. Because they don't do that, and so you can fill all this out and then never get the verification code sent. So you gotta hit create and goes, no, you can't do that. So if I were to say tim@test.com and I can put a password in, I'm not sure if I'll take that short password, like so, and I hit create, it goes, a required field is missing, please fill out all fields. Well, the password, okay, I could probably put in a password that'll match, like so, and hit create again, and it still says a required field is missing, and that's not clear with what should happen. And what it's saying is, hey, you need to send a verification code first, or get the verification code back from sending it in order to verify and validate this email address. Now, the benefit of this, and we definitely want this, is the fact that you cannot just create an account using a bot. You have to fill out a valid email address, hit send verification code, get that verification code, fill it in the blank that'll be given once you send it, and then you can create the account. Now, that is really important because of the fact that I get charged per monthly active user. Remember, we have 50,000 for free, but as of 50,001, I start paying for everything over 50,000. So I don't want a bot to come through and create 1 million accounts, because that would be just shy of 1 million active users that I'd have to pay for, and that would be way too much money. This way, I am verifying that at least you're a real person when you fill out this information. So that's a really important thing, and it's something that we definitely want to have happen, but I just think that Microsoft could have done a better job with this page in clarifying what needs to happen. So this might be a page where I'd come through and make a custom page out of it. But again, that's outside of scope of this demo, and it's not even something I'll do for version 1 of my real production site. It's just something I will do eventually as we make things better. So that's the login. I have not logged in yet, but that's the process for branding our site. Next up, what we'll do is actually register an account. Now let's actually go through the process of registering an account. So you'll log in and we say sign up now, and I will create an account. Now I'm going to use help@IamTimCorey.com, because if you need help with purchasing an account, something like, or purchasing, or you don't have forum access, you think you should, if you need an invoice and you need help with that, all that stuff, email help@IamTimCorey.com. Well, I'm going to use the same thing for this account. Let's send verification code. And once that goes through, I'm going to say, okay, I now have a verification code spot. Well, let's open up the email, and we see that Microsoft, on behalf of Timco Enterprise, remember that's the name we chose, it says verify your email address. Your code is, and this code will expire, so it's no big deal. I copy the code and I paste it in here and say verify code. Now this is locked in. I can't change help@IamTimCorey. So I'm going to give it a password. I'll confirm the password. The password has to have uppercase, lowercase, a number, special character, something like that. I think it has to have at least 3 out of 4. I chose to do all 4. So this is going to be, let's say, Tim Corey test and Tim Corey. And I'll hit create. So now I'm logged in. Notice up here it says profile and log out. That changed because of the fact that I logged in. Now if I go to profile, it says, hey, edit my profile. Well, and also notice these are the things that I have supposedly submitted. Now we've hard coded this to say, actually, it's just that one user. But if we go to edit my profile, this will be my profile, and I can edit Tim Corey test, Tim and Corey. I just hit continue to choose the same one. I can also log out now, and now I'm logged out. I can log back in, and I can say help@IamTimCorey, and we'll put my password in. The other nice thing about this verification is it makes sure you use the correct email address and don't switch things around. We have that problem a lot where people will buy a course, but they'll have their email address at gamil.com instead of gmail.com, those kind of things. And we can help you out at help@IamTimCorey.com, but it's great when you can verify so that we're sure it's the right account. So sign in, sign out, that all works. I can even close this out and start it back up. I'll still be signed in for a while. So that's how the login process works and how we can set that up. Next up, what we'll do is we'll add in the authorization entries for the various pages to say, hey, you can't go to this page unless you are authorized. So we'll put those in place next. Now I can put the authentication or authorized tags on our pages. So let's close out of all the tabs, and we'll start over by looking at, let's start with the create page. And the create page is going to get an attribute. We can put it anywhere up at the top here. I'll put it right below the page attribute, and I'll say attribute, and this is authorize. So this is going to say that you have to be logged in order to make a suggestion. So that's all the authorization you need, is just to be logged in. We don't care who you are. We don't care your security level. We just care that you're logged in. Now, we also have down here a to-do, which is replace with user lookup. Because right now we're just grabbing the sample user. So let's change that. And to do that, we also need to do another injection. Inject authentication state provider, auth provider. And then down in the, down in the code right here, instead of to do, what we're going to do is we're going to have var auth state equals await auth provider dot get authentication state asynchronously. So it's going to get the state of the authentication, and then from there we're going to say auth user equal auth state dot user, and we don't have to do that if you don't want. We could just say, you know what, let's cut out that extra line. Usually I put the auth user into its own variable if we're going to reuse it, but in this case, I don't think we're going to reuse it. So we'll say auth state.user dot claims first or default. And we'll say the claim is c.type.contains object identifier. Make sure you spell that correctly. And let's unpin this so we have a little bit more space. And we'll say object identifier, and if it exists, dot value. And we'll assign this to a string object ID, like so. So this is going to grab the claim off the user object. So the object has a bunch of claims, and these claims are like given name, surname, email address, in this case, object identifier. And that object identifier is the unique identifier that we got from Azure Active Directory that identifies the user. So that's the one we're grabbing here. We're going to say get the value of that claim and put it here. And then we'll do a lookup and pass in the object ID of that specific person. So this will get us the logged in user, the actual logged in user, not our temp logged in user. That means we'll be able to create an actual user when we, or actually create a suggestion with the actual user, not with our temp user. Now we're going to do this code more than once. In fact, we're going to do it a few times. So we're actually going to come back and refactor this in just a minute. But let's move on to placing the rest of our authorized attributes so that we can get that done, tested, and then we can come back and keep working on the admin side of things, or on the authentication side of things. So let's go down to the profile page. Again, you have to be authorized in order to go to the profile page, because if you're not authorized, then you shouldn't have a profile. Okay, so you have to be authorized in order to go there. And again, we're going to fill in this way down here, this to do. We're going to fix this in just a minute, but we're going to use that same code from before. And I don't want to repeat my code. So the last page is the admin approval page. And again, this needs to be an authorized, but there's more to it than that, because of the fact that you also need to be an admin. So not only authorized, but we're going to say that the policy equals admin. So this limits who can go to this page, not just to authorize individuals, but to authorize individuals who are admins. So that's good enough for now. Let's leave it here and call this good. And then next what we'll do is we're going to test this and make sure we can go to the right pages and that we're allowed in or not allowed in based upon our permissions. We'll even elevate myself to an admin to see if that works well or not. And then from there, we'll come back to the idea of wiring up some of these other admin things. It's time to test this out. So let's launch the application. Once we do, and this launches, we should first test to see if we can go to pages where we're not authorized to go. And since we're not logged in, hopefully, then, we are logged in. So let's stay logged in for a minute and go to suggest. And nothing seems to happen yet. Let's click on suggest. Nothing seems to happen. Let's go to /create. There we go. I'm not sure why the suggest button isn't working. Let's take a peek at that real quick. So let's go over to the index page and look at the suggest button does nothing. So that's why it's not going anywhere, because we haven't wired it up. Cool. So we'll get that done in just a minute, but we can go to this create page. Let's go to the profile. Cool, profile. And it looks like the profile still loads all of the old demo stuff because of the fact we haven't changed over that login yet, but no problem. Let's go to log out. When we do, it should redirect us back to the home page once it actually logs out, which is taking a couple seconds here, but there we go. We're now at the home page. Let's go to /create. And it says you're not authorized. All right, we can log in, but that's it. We can close this out. Let's go look at the details. Yep, we can do that. But if we go back to the home page, we can't go anywhere else. Let's try to go to the admin, what's it called? Admin approval. You're not authorized. So let's log in again. And I'm going to log in. And let's sign in. Once I am logged in, let's go to the /admin approval. I'm still not authorized, even though I'm logged in. So let's go back to the main page, and what we're going to do is I'm going to log out, and I'm going to go over to Azure. And in Azure, I'm on the B2C directory. Notice there's a users here. If I click on users, we'll see that it's going to list all the users in this directory. And one of them is help@imtimcorey.com. This one comes from being the owner of this directory. But Tim Corey test is the help@imtimcorey.com. If I select it, I have a whole bunch of information that the user can't see, but I could change if I wanted to: city, zip code, office phone number, and so on. But if I hit edit here, and then come down, and we have job title. Remember we said that we're going to use job title as the way to identify an admin? I'm going to put admin there. Hit save. Now I have been updated. So my profile is now an admin. It doesn't say anywhere except in the actual job title. But if I now go over to here and I log in, you have to log back in after doing this because of the fact that it only brings down those claims once you log in. Now, notice I have the admin link in the upper left-hand corner. If I click on it, here are the pending submissions. Well, there are none, but now I can at least see that yes, this is the admin page. I can get to it because I am an admin. So that all works. Let's go back here. We can close this out. And now we can focus on getting the rest of the admin code added. I'm sorry, not the admin code, the authentication code in place. For instance, hooking this button up, which this button needs to have some authentication code to see if you're authenticated or not. Because if you're not authenticated, we're not even going to send you to the create page. We're going to send you to the login instead. So we'll do stuff like that. Also, we have this get upvote top text. We're going to modify that to better reflect if you have voted on something or not, and whether or not you can vote on something. So we'll modify that in the next video.